5.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order.
Thank you. So I just a couple of minutes ago forwarded around a new agenda. Lloyd isn't able to join for the entire meeting, and I need to recuse myself from the 40 Main Street application. So we're going to do that one first for quorum, and then we'll continue on with the agenda. Stacy is here representing the 40 Main project. Stacy, are you going to be able to share your application materials on your computer?
I have pictures of it. I can like kind of show you guys, and then what I sent you and Karen in the emails.
Okay, Karen, could you share them on Stacy's behalf since I will be recused? Or I can, or maybe Lloyd might be able to, just so we can see them. You're muted, Karen.
Yeah, I'm on my regular screen, so I'd have to pull them up from the website.
Okay, so I will share them on behalf of the applicant, and I will just simply not vote on the application or make any comments. Stacy is a business partner of mine and a friend whom I love. So I am recusing myself from the application, but I will take care of sharing all of that stuff. So let me just pull it up, and I'm going to mute myself.
Gee, Stacy, that's a nice emblem for the village of Cold Spring. So this is signage. Okay.
Yeah, so this is signage for the retail tenants at 40 Main Street. I guess, Stacy, why don't you explain what the plan is, and I will show whatever pictures you want me to show.
Okay, so the top photo that he's got there, that's of course with our signage mocked in there. So we're doing a white sign with black vinyl lettering, and then we'll have also a window decal in the far right window. And the bottom picture that Sean has up is the pre-existing bracket that is there. And that is the bracket that we are going to use to put the sign in.
Okay, a couple of quick questions. The signage in the window, is that vinyl adhered to the glass?
Yeah, it's like Gray Printing is going to do like a stick vinyl.
What is the panel that is going to go into that frame? What's it made of?
It is called AZEK. It's like a vinyl, like weather resistant material. We couldn't do wood because of the length of it. They were worried it was going to warp. So we went with this material as advised by Signs Inc.
Lloyd, isn't AZEK sort of a composite?
It is, yeah.
You know, it's not really a vinyl. It's I think it's wood chip or something like that.
I'm sorry, I don't know the exact composition. But yeah, it's some sort of composite. If I'm not mistaken, I think we've approved it before for this use, right?
Does anybody have any other questions?
I don't have a question per se, I guess more just a comment. I don't have any issue really with the use of AZEK. I think maybe it is also a little lost in translation with the digital sort of addition of to the sign to the photograph. It just feels very very big and bright, and vinyl letters adhered to a composite. Kind of feels like a recipe for peeling and not a lot of longevity, which
The reason they did this was for the longevity.
the vinyl
So they chose the two materials I chose was to keep it from weather resistant and holding up.
Yeah, I mean, I in theory, vinyl and AZAC, yes, that's kind of the point of them. I think in this combination, I mean, I don't know how they're adhered. I guess that's part of the puzzle to sort of understand a little bit better. But vinyl letters adhered to any sort of surface. It does not read really historically sympathetic in my mind.
Well,
I would agree with some of that. The size in particular was my first reaction. Some of these observations, like you said, are due to the digital nature on top of the photo of the existing, but it does seem awfully big, and I think we have regulations about the height. So I wanted to ask about that. And then
it was designed to fit within the bracket that's pre-existing that has, I'm understood, is grandfathered in.
yes, but there's some regulations, I think, about the height of the lettering.
I mean, we can shrink the lettering. We just did it for balance. And again, it's like a digital mock-up, so it looks a little, I mean, it's superimposed on it, so it looks a little.
Right, I get that. I just wanted to check that. Do you know the height of these letters now? On this rendering, on the mock-up?
Not the exact height, but I can get it for you.
And then I was also, I have to look back at signage, but maybe somebody else could comment more about this if they recall. Don't we encourage raised lettering when we can?
Yeah.
well, actually, I think what we encourage are cut lettering or carved lettering.
Recess, yeah.
But I guess, I don't find it unsympathetic to this particular installation because, the signage board it was there always, not always, but, it's a common existing feature. As a matter of fact, it looks like there was a sign there that had round ends. If you want to sort of look at something which was which had been there pre-existing, but it's not going to make a significant difference as far as the overall size of the sign.
I think personally, the size of the sign, I don't know that we have a whole lot of argument there, since there obviously is a historic bracket to mount a sign. So there was historically, at some point in the building's past, a sign that size. Whether or not that was approved by anyone on a historic board, I don't know. I think, Al, you would have to answer what that means in terms of precedent or grandfathering in. You've been on the board the longest. I think personally, vinyl lettering on a window, I think that looks great. The part going on the storefront large plate glass window, I think black vinyl lettering adhered on an AZAC large white board is just not in suiting really with the district.
I wasn't mentioning, just to be clear, the size of the sign. I get that it's going into an existing bracket. I was just talking about the size of the lettering. Maybe it's a color issue, but I know we don't comment about colors either. So there's a starkness to it that we're reacting to, I think.
Well, again, it's like kind of superimposed over the bracket, so it's like it does look,
It's cleaner than the real thing will be after a couple months and all that stuff. It's got a brightness to it.
Al, is there, obviously we encourage lettering to be either proud or recessed, as you said, of the board. Is there,
I don't think so. And I'll tell you why I'm not at all that concerned about this particular sign is that if you look at most of the signage or much of the signage in the village, it in fact is vinyl lettering on a board of some sort. So the fact that it is not proud or recessed into the board, I don't think is critical. And certainly, it is something which is easily replaced. I mean, of all things, signage certainly is, is not exactly a permanent change to, to the structure. So I don't especially have I don't have a problem with this. I guess one of the things which I'm sort of curious about, can you go back to the existing, what's there right now? So that sign is actually proud of the facade because it's in front of the coping, the metal coping behind it. I guess let's ask the question. Have you looked at the possibility of putting in a sign in that area that appears to be where a sign used to be behind? That area.
Is that like a stone lintel there? Just a very
well, it looks like a
precast lintel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In speaking with the owners of the building, he would like me to use a pre-existing bracket. So that was the conversation we had. So I can't speak to further on attaching it to that or what that would consist of. But that would require me removing a very large metal bracket that, isn't my building. I mean, the sign in itself of that size is going to cost quite some, so to then ask him to make further alterations to what he perceived as a grandfathered in bracket, I really can't say that would be an option or that something that he, I'm sure he'd be open to it, but is it cost feasible for someone who's renting a building?
Well, certainly one of the things, I guess, let's sort of be upfront, the vinyl letters on the store window, no problem. Am I correct?
Problem. I agree.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is that a sign in that bracket is quite a significant visual element.
As is the purpose of a storefront sign.
Yes.
Right, but that's, we're here to consider the fabric of Main Street and all of the buildings in the context of the village, not just this one.
Well, I don't especially have a problem with it, but it sounds like Todd does, and so.
Every other sign, the next door neighbors have a vinyl lettering sign up. My original sign that you guys approved for 49 Main was vinyl lettering. It was just.
I don't think I don't think it's necessarily the vinyl lettering because I think that's common enough. It's the size of the sign band itself.
Well, it was made to fit within the bracket. That's the only reason we're just trying to make it look to fit the sign within the bracket that's pre-existing and make it look like it fits within that without too much negative space. Because I feel the negative space just lends to just as much,
Yeah, for me, it's not the signage board itself, but the lettering, which I did a quick takeoff, really rough, and they're about a foot high. I thought our limit was 8 inches, but I'm trying to find that right now. Do you remember, Al or Todd?
I do not.
Neither do I.
That would be in chapter 64, right? Let me and my assistant look here. I gotta keep him quiet. um,
I mean, if it's the size of the lettering, we can shrink down the lettering. That's not the issue. It was just trying to make it fit within the sign without too much negative space. But we can, shrink it down. It's not that big of an issue. It's just, it's going to look like vinyl lettering regardless because it's vinyl lettering.
All right, let's take it one step at a time. I mean, I understand that we're trying to fill in an existing frame. So I guess let me ask Todd the question. Would you rather that that sign appear someplace else and otherwise have the existing frame there?
I mean, well, just to speak to the lettering, if you and Lloyd have no issue with that, then I'm in the minority as it is.
But the thing to keep in mind is that we need 3 votes for approval.
Okay. Can we establish whether the existing metal frame that is on the side of the building does in fact grandfather in the right to fill with a new sign? Can you establish that, or are we just kind of taking it as face value? Nobody knows when that frame was installed on the side of the building, or what, did Ellen fill that sign? I can't remember whether there was a huge sign there before. It feels very out of scale with the building covering part of the coping, kind of almost covering the top of the garage door, creeping in on either side over the stonework. It feels very out of scale to me. But can you answer whether or not it is in fact grandfathered in, or there is some pre-existing right to use that?
Well, Sean, don't we have an application by the building owner for installation of the doors, the garage door?
We do for the doors. Yeah, I remember that.
So we should have some images from that application.
I can look on the server and see. I know that was one of the applications that we reviewed in person last summer, so we might not have digital copies of it, but I will look.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I have no problem with the sign. I tend to agree that perhaps the lettering can be a little bit shorter, but I think that's just strictly from an aesthetic point of view. It seems to be that the letters kind of really dominate the entire facade. But I really don't have any problem with the AZAC or the use of vinyl lettering on it. I think that is relatively typical. And, like I said, it's, we're talking about, a change which is easily reversed. Certainly doesn't have any impact on the structure itself.
Lloyd, did you find the text in the design standards about the height of the letters?
I didn't. I'm still sort of looking.
So it would appear that on our stamped drawings from the other previous applications from this building owner, the drawings include the bracket at the size that it currently is, both in the for the replacement of the overhead door with the kind of 3-column overhead door with the pedestrian door in it. right here. And it looks like it says existing signage frame to remain on the drawing.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the size or the material. My only comment is about the height of the lettering. I find it a little bit large or excessive. I think the sign kind of fits the building in a way and fits the past use, which was a dealership or a mechanic or something. So
actually,
I mean, in a way that's part of our history too, right? And part of the building's history. And then it was the antique store forever too.
Right.
For 35 years or something like that. But
Right.
Before that, I don't know who put up the sign. I'm assuming it was I'm assuming it was before the antique store, but I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah, my only comment is about the height of the lettering. I think it could be
I mean, we can shrink the height of the lettering. It was the sign, the mock-up was put together as a means of showing you guys what it was, would look like. We didn't do the exact sizing. So, I mean, that's an easy fix.
I guess then if somebody can resolve what the allowed size of the lettering is, that would be good. I tend to think then the way that they've got it, Lloyd, unfortunately, I disagree with you. I think I agree with Stacy on this. Then for such a large sign, I think it warrants the lettering being large.
And we looked into doing something similar to the cheese shop because her letters are almost 3 times the size of ours. And just having them come off the building, that's what we did in our first at 49. But Signs Inc. explained to us that because we're not adhering it to the structure of the building, they worried about the longevity of putting the standout letters on top of like an AZAC composite of it falling off over time because of the way there's going to be movement and wind and all of the, I mean, the guy explained it and I mean, they make signs for a living, so I assume they knew what they were talking about. We explored all those avenues. This was what he said would be the, for the bracket, because we were trying to fit within that bracket. It's not like I decided, I want this huge sign within that bracket. Is what the landlord, the owner of the building said, this is where your sign's going. I can't take away his bracket. So we made the sign to fit within those parameters. And it was what the sign company told us would give us the best longevity was the vinyl lettering on the AZAC. And that, if we tried to do anything other, it would probably fall down or be, affected by the elements because it's off the building considerably. So.
Yeah, actually, as I'm looking for the height, which I can't find, I'm seeing other pictures like Palin's Drugstore, Old Souls, which seem to have very tall letters. And I guess I'm swayed in that direction. The difference with those two that we can't get into is the color is inverse of the, it's like white on black or brown.
I mean, we're open to that too. We painted the facade black.
Yeah.
We're open to flip-flopping it. That's fine. It still fits within our, our logo look or brand design.
Are they replacing the garage door to like we had approved to have the door within the garage door?
Yeah, they're replacing that.
And is that going to be black aluminum?
Yes.
Well,
white letters on a black sign would be my preference, even though I know we're not allowed to have one.
Yeah,
that's fine with me as well.
And that'll certainly visually reduce the size.
I mean, that was my original drawing that I gave to the sign company was black wood with white vinyl lettering. But they told me to go against the wood. So I just have to make sure that they can do the background in black. That would be the only, once they advised me to go with the AZAC, it was kind of, this is the option. So I just have to confirm that with them.
I think the black, they have to put black vinyl on the white AZAC, maybe if they don't have black AZAC.
Well, I think isn't AZAC paintable?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Can I just clarify?
If that's the call you guys want to make, if it will set you at ease to inverse it, I'm totally open to that as well. And I can get that done just as easily.
I would just like to clarify that while we do not typically review or approve paint colors, we do have precedent for requiring certain uses of color to mitigate the impact of a alteration in the district. So
Same idea then.
Okay.
I think it
Same
was
idea then, and what was I going to say? Lost it. Sorry.
Well, Todd, so you're willing to accept a black sign with white letters?
I think it would. I think especially with the new black aluminum door, I think it would tie in and be much less in your face that way, and an elegant solution. And I think the size of the lettering given that is fine for me. I don't see a need to shrink the lettering and have even more of the board visible.
Okay, Sean, can you show us the picture of the application? Okay.
I guess I agree with what Todd just said. But
yeah, and that matches the vinyl lettering in the window.
Yeah, should we have something that on this document from the applicant that specifies the height or the maximum height?
I think that, I mean, I personally don't need to see that. I think there's precedent for larger lettering on sides on Main Street. And I think less height in the lettering translates to much more actual physical empty sign, which to me would be visually not as nice. So I think the size of the lettering is fine for me.
Yeah, my point is that we don't really know what the size is. That's all. I'm just saying, like, every application we get has dimensions and notes. I'm just wondering if we need a dimension on this.
I think
the application itself has the dimensions of the sign. The sign is 192.5 inches wide by 24 inches tall.
And how high are the letters in the application?
Probably about a foot, it looks like.
I mean, that would be.
It's about a foot. I'm just asking if we, as a board, want to require dimensions on that.
Well, we can call it out. We, if we say that the letters need to be 12 inches, we can state that on the application.
Yeah.
All right. So, do I have a motion that we approve the application with the change on the large panel from a white panel to a black panel with the white from a white panel with black lettering to a black panel with white lettering, and the size of the lettering to be 12 inches.
I would make a motion to accept with all of the caveats that you just listed.
Okay.
And I second all that.
All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. You've got your 3 votes, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. Don't mean to give you a hard time. I'm happy to see your new iteration here. This will be the 3rd Cold Spring Apothecary I've seen. So it'll be fun. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
So, Stacey, what'll happen next is that over the weekend, Al will process the paperwork for the COA, and as we discussed earlier, there are the owner's endorsement page from your application will just have to be handed in to the clerk before the COA can be issued.
Sure,
Okay.
James is going to get that. He just couldn't get to it today.
That's fine.
I am not going to be in town over the weekend, so it'll be sometime next week.
No worries. We'll probably have the sign before the stores open anyway, Al, so don't worry.
And also as well, Stacy, if in the event that the colorway is not possible, then just keep us posted and we can re-review or make adjustments as necessary.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Night.
Okay, 46 Paulding.
46 Paulding is the next application. I don't see Enrique, unless is the 917 cell phone number, is that somebody from 46 Paulding? Perhaps?
They are muted.
Oh, 917 cell phone number, you are muted. I will ask you to unmute.
So Sean, I'm still here. I'll stay as long as I can here.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd. Okay, seeing
Let's
that,
move on to 25 Chestnut Street.
yeah, because they are here. Tom, is it Tom or is it Tommy? Or is it Thomas?
Tommy.
Okay, Tommy. We have the materials that you sent over. Do you want to share them or should I share them on your behalf?
Sure, I can share.
Okay, great. So this is for a fence at 25 Chestnut Street, which is a, well, you'll probably all recognize it. It's the building next between the church and the Dunkin' Donuts.
Wallen Chestnut, right?
That's where
Here's
Karen
the
Parks, right?
this is the Google Street View.
Yeah, Karen, it was a building that Karen designed.
Yeah.
So
She lived there for a while.
St. Mary's over here,
Yep.
Wall Street, and our esteemed neighbor, Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm sure that's come in handy many an early morning.
It's got its ups and its downs. So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we have this is the image that I shared with the rest of the board, and then you did just send the site survey around as well, so we can take a look at both of those things. But why don't we talk through this first?
Sure. So, what we're really trying to do is basically from where this from the edge of the house, so not out to the porch, but the edge of the house, direct shot over to Wall Street, take it around and connect it back to where when we moved in, there was actually along, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse moving.
Yeah.
But there actually was a fence that went the entire length of the back and it was just rotted out. So we ended up taking it down. It was just a standard picket fence. And so what we're proposing to do is to return the fence back there where it was. There is a small section of fence left over here, and then just to connect and close off the backyard from Wall Street. So we don't want to bring it all the way to the front of the house. Our plan on the front, we have these really big hedges that have a way of growing over the wall and out into the sidewalk. Once they die this fall, we're going to cut that straight, cut it back at least to the wall, start thin it out, and have a little bit more manicured look up front, and then have the fence line on the back. And the objective would be to have kind of like front facing from what people see on the street, like a very traditional just front yard of the house with bushes, and we have hydrangeas kind of wrapped in the porch right now, and then in the back having both the privacy but also privacy from our neighbors, privacy from our other neighbors over at Dunkin' Donuts and on the backside. Fence construction, just going to do a 3.5 foot Nantucket style fence, wrapped posts with a cap on the pickets.
Are the fence panels between the posts or in front of the post?
So the way that they build these is put the posts in. These are typically 2x4s going and connecting the posts, and then the pickets actually sit flush with the front of the posts and around. So there's nothing protruding out in front of the fence, and they're also not recessed back. They're meant to be flush with the posts all the way around. So for long sections where there's posts, you wouldn't actually have posts along the way. It would just look like continuous fence the whole way, kind of like you see in this picture. I can blow it out up a little bit.
Well, the only thing is that the pickets are 1x3s and the posts are 4x4s.
Right. So these posts would only be visible at transition points. So either where there's a gate or on a corner. The post, like the intermittent post would actually be behind the fence and not come above the top.
Al, do you want to explain the nature of your question?
Well, the nature of my question has to do with the fact that our standards, and I don't know if it has changed, is that the posts be visible, that the fencing run from post to post. And from what I thought Tommy had described is that you would see the post because the face of the picket, which is 1x3, aligns with the face of the 4x4. But then I don't see that here. I see pickets, just straight down.
Right. So in fact, Tommy, the way that it is drawn is the way that we would like to see it installed. The way that it is photographed is the less desirable option, where you can kind of see almost right in the center where that shadow is.
Yep.
Two panels butting together over a post. So the way that we request that fences be installed is that a panel ends, the post is visible, and then the next panel begins. As far as the depth of the panel as it relates to the post, typically it would just be, more or less centered on the side of the post. If you're requesting that it sit forward so that the post and the pickets are in line, but the post isn't covered, then that's something. It isn't anything that I remember anyone ever specifically requesting, but if that's what you're interested in doing, we can discuss that. But we do want there to be a separation between each panel of pickets.
Sure.
It's not an uncommon way to install a fence. So, obviously if it's something you want to speak to your contractor about,
I'll make this easy for you guys. You tell me what you want. That's what I'm going to do. So.
Okay.
We'd like to hear, Tommy.
Yeah. So that, I think that was the only question that I really had specifically about the construction of the fence. The height is certainly within reason for being on a side yard and also being so so prominent. But
what is the height that we're talking about?
It's labeled at 3.5 feet.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's a 4-foot fence. Actually, a 3-foot fence because that 3.5 inch to 3'6", 3'6" to the tip of the top of the post. You may find that
limitations.
Well, I think, am I not correct that the current code allows a 4-foot fence? And it's not something that we have any say over. It's a zoning issue, right?
Yes, the code allows for 4-foot fences on front and side yards, which you're on a corner lot, so you actually have 2 front yards. And taller fences are allowed only in the, I'm sorry, the code allows for 4-foot fences on front lot lines, but because you're a corner, you have 2 front lot lines. You can have taller fences on sides and rear lines. But it appears that this is in compliance with the code for being under 4 foot. The question that I was going to ask about the installation, and maybe we can look at the previous photo that you have above, is the relation between the fence and the wall itself. It looks like you have the fence going all the way to the lot line. And based on your site survey, it looks like the lot line, your lot line actually goes a little bit into the pavement of Wall Street, which is not uncommon. But my question is just how are you going to accommodate the fence and the wall? Is it going to be?
Yeah, it's going to have to be set slightly back from the wall. I mean, obviously, because there's rocks. But if you've ever walked down Wall Street, you'll notice that St. Mary's has like a mortared in, beautiful, consistent wall, and our side has a wall that was probably built by someone like me, just dumped a bunch of rocks. So it's like if you dig down around 6 inches from the rocks of that wall, you're going to find more rocks. So it's going to be set back, not to a point where there's going to be yard or overgrowth between the fence and the wall. Intent is to get as close up to the walls as I can, so it's actually similar. And candidly, like that effort is probably going to involve me doing some cleanup on the wall and some of the rocks that are there.
Okay, so I think that could be noted. Now on the back lot line, is there a wall there, or is that just
no? Like I said, there was a fence there.
Okay, so essentially it's going to go, the new fence is going to go where the old fence was.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the backyard of this property becomes the front yard of 40 Wall Street or 30 Wall Street. Okay, well that was my major question, was just about the relationship between the fence and the wall. Again, I think it's we've approved similar styles of fences for kind of similar kind of extra wide side yards, most recently on High Street for Kevin and Sylvia, who have kind of a double width lot. I think using a picket style fence that has some openness to it is going to help prevent it from looking too imposing or too kind of unneighborly, so to speak. Is the material going to be left unfinished cedar, or is it going to be painted?
It's going to be painted.
It's going to be painted. Okay.
Okay. So I think that going back to the image of the construction, the fence construction, I think that what we're talking about is that we're approving what is drawn and not necessarily what is photographed, and not what is photographed, because obviously the image there, clearly you will see the right. You will clearly see the post, between each of the panels.
Right.
And it'll probably be relatively easy as far as construction, because I would assume that the 2x, which is the rail that holds the pickets in place, probably will be fed into the center line of the post, and then it's easy, you just attach the pickets onto that, and then you should be okay.
I think given Tommy's recent edit to his application, we can approve the application as submitted without having to have any changes.
Yeah, I think the only other change to make would just be specifying that it's going to be a painted finish, which I think could also be added right now to the presentation, or Al will actually be picking up the other copy that we received, but
okay, do I have a motion concerning this application?
I would make a motion to approve the application as modified, specifying painted finish and construction detailing.
Well, that and also that it's set back from the wall along the street.
Right, which we can add as a bubble, that it'll be
yeah, it'll be a note.
Set back from wall. Both, yes, from the wall of Wall Street. That's my motion.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Lloyd, your vote?
I had to leave during part of it. I'm going to abstain if you got quorum.
Okay. Sean, you
Aye.
made the motion. Todd?
Aye.
And I vote aye. It's approved. Tommy, you got it.
Thank you.
Good.
Great.
Todd, I'll let you know what day we're moving the rocks, okay?
Great. So again, Al will mark up the COA at the beginning of next week, and then you'll be able to get your building permit from the building department. And if anything changes, then just let us know and we can talk about it again.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Nice seeing you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
13 Parsonage Street. I see that we have John and Guillaume.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Well, I can speak. I'm the homeowner along with my wife, Melissa. We're new to the community and our 2-year-old daughter. John is here to help me out. He's our architect. I'm a new homeowner, new to all of this, so he kindly agreed to join the call to help me out.
Great.
Okay, great. Welcome to the community.
Thank you so much.
Jenny and Bill Colias were dear friends of mine, and actually remain dear friends of mine, and I'm sure they would be so happy to know the stewardship of their home will continue.
Yeah, they were so kind to us throughout the whole process, so I'm glad to hear they were friends of yours.
Do you have, would you like to share the images, or do you want me to share them for you?
It might be easier for me if you share them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. You should be able to. Let me just make sure. Yes, you should just be able to hit the screen share.
Okay. Here we go. So hopefully you should be able to see my screen. Apparently there's my daughter in the background. Let me just pull up.
We will not be swayed by...
I understand. I tried to make my background professional, forgot to remove my picture. I don't know if this is the first image that you would like to see, and basically I can speak about this. So on the existing home at 13 Parsonage, it's a Cape Cod style home, and there's currently no full bath upstairs. And with a family and all of that, we thought it would be great to have a full bathroom upstairs, so we wouldn't have to go back and forth to the bathroom on the ground floor for everything. To do this, because of the design of the Cape, we would need to bump the slant in the back so that we would be able to be up to code for a shower head, for example. And so basically, since we were bumping it up, we were considering doing the back of the house, as you can see here. It's not adding to the square, footage of the house. It's in terms of eating up more land in the backyard or anything. And because of the way that Parsonage is set up with sort of platforms going up the hill, it's not, easily viewed from the street. And I think some of the pictures that we shared with the application show that as well.
Can you show us some of those pictures?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just once again try to sway you with my daughter as I try to find the pictures. That's opening. Quite slowly. Apologies. Okay, so as you go, oops, what's it doing?
Is there any change to the front of the building?
No, sir, no changes to the front, only in the back. So as you go down from the hill, this is the view from the first house uphill. And then this is the front of the home, which, as I said, won't be changed. And then this is going down. And then at that point, the view cuts off. We also took the liberty of going to the street behind ours, Parrot Street. And if you look up the driveway of the house behind ours, you see basically this tree and this foliage. I also have a photo that shows what the back looks like right now. And so that's the existing back of the home.
All right, so you're installing that entire shed dormer.
That's correct. And we love the finish of the home, so we would be replicating the existing aluminum siding and the existing asphalt surface on the roof.
The applicant also included, or rather the architect for the applicant also included the cut sheet for the windows as well. It's the, what is it? I think it's the 700 series. The 400 series, I'm sorry, the Andersen 400 series. Oh, right, yeah, here's the specs for those.
All right, well, can you go back? All right, so it's a 400 tilt wash.
Yeah, I did clarify with John that this is the insert design, but because it's obviously new construction, the whole dormer, the windows will be not insert, they'll be new, full frame new construction windows.
All right, can we go back to the image that you're proposing for the rear? And yes, cuteness overload. I guess, anybody have any questions concerning what they see?
I don't have any questions, but Guillaume, can you go to I think it may be the last image in the presentation is the side view that just shows the construction detailing. Yeah, here, just in case anybody has any questions about what's called out in the drawing, a lot of it is written here in terms of the gutter and venting and all that.
I guess I don't have any objection to any of that if it matches the existing. Like I wouldn't object to the aluminum vented soffit if that's what's already there, nor would I object to the gutter shape if that's what's already there. I mean, I think we normally call for half round gutters, but I don't really think that fits this house or what's there. But I'd love confirmation of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in our similar reviews of houses of this vintage, we really just want things to match more than be historicist. I think overall, as presented, I think the application includes all the detailing that we would need. I think it's a perfectly understandable desire to increase the usability of that second floor without having to create an addition into the garden or onto the front of the building or anything like that, and to maintain the two individual dormers on the front facade, which are pretty character defining, not having to connect those into something wider is a great benefit to the district. So I don't have an issue with it.
Can we see the rear elevation again?
Yeah, I'd love to see that again too. And the front while you're there? Not doing anything, right?
No, the front is...
Okay, I guess the only thing that strikes me is that half-size window. Is that in the bathroom? Is that why it's...
Yes.
It's called out as an awning window on the drawing.
Do we have any other awning windows?
Awning windows will be more typically used in a basement setting for a house of this period, but I mean, I personally have no issue with it. I think, especially given the fact that it's nearly invisible from the street being Parrott Street, I have no personal issue with this.
No, neither do I. I understand why it's being done. My only comment looking at these elevations again is the front elevation. You still have, looks like, I'm not sure what I'm looking at, whether I'm looking at shutters on one of the windows or are the shutters coming off, which I don't mind. I think that's a great thing if that's what's happening, but I just wanted clarification on that. Oh, I see. Yeah, so it looks like you're taking the shutters off, which I don't think is a big loss.
We weren't actually planning to remove the
Oh.
shutters. They may just have been left out accidentally in the drawing.
You didn't have to, as far as I'm concerned.
No. The window size in the dormer, is it the same size as the windows below it? You know, the paired windows. I'm talking about the rear facade.
Right. I'd have to ask John if he's able to comment on that. I don't remember exactly if they match.
Maybe if you scroll down to the flat elevation instead of the axonometric, we can see them in scale.
Sure. Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it looks like the windows on the rear facade are actually 3 different sizes and styles, but the second story windows seem to be the same size as that one all the way on the left.
I forgot to mention that there are awning style windows on the back on the basement, as the other gentleman mentioned. They're just not shown in the drawings, but if you look at this picture right here, this window down here opens like an awning window, and the same on the other side.
I guess my only concern really is that, you know, throughout all of the elevations, we have double hung windows, which are vertical as opposed to horizontal, except for that one window. And you know, I guess that's what seems to bother me a little bit. Todd, do you think if we added a muntin in between, you know, in the middle of it, ease that?
I'm not a big fan in general of faking things to try to make them look like they are something else. To be honest, in this rear facade, I feel like the casement window to our right of the sliders is almost the most sort of not in keeping with the rest of the house. The awning window, I just think, given the fact that they're so commonly used in the basement, like it was just pointed out, a little unusual on an upper floor, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, I think you could. Are you saying splitting that window into 2 separate awning windows? That I think might maybe appease you better than an applied mutton or simulated divided light splitting that one window. I don't think that's a good idea. I suppose you could split that horizontal window into 2 kind of more square windows, but you know, in some ways that's even less in keeping with the period, because the basements so often had those long horizontal awning windows.
Well, I believe that we approved a similar window over a bathtub on Locust Ridge at the Foley Headland residence.
And next to the VFW, which is not a
Yeah,
cape,
the
it
kitchen.
was a single level ranch, they have that long horizontal window in their kitchen that we approved too.
Right.
That's correct.
Which is probably similar era to this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar era, I would say.
I think just to get to the kind of meat of it, by putting this awning window in, they're able to have a wider window and still have some degree of privacy. The window below it, to the left of the door, is the other kind of bathroom window on the first floor, and you can see how it's kind of undersized with the other double hung windows. I think that's ultimately what you would end up having on the second floor, because you don't necessarily want to have a large full height or nearly full height window in a bathroom. So I think I would rather see a facade, as much as anyone will see it, considering it's the back of the house, but I think it makes more sense to see a window array where things are kind of in scale with each other, regardless of their function or their operation, than adding a little kind of dinky double hung window, just so that it kind of is the same operation. So I don't really have an issue with the awning window.
Well, I guess you said that, I don't understand why such a wide window is in keeping with the other two double hung windows.
Why such a wide window is?
Yeah, I mean, essentially that window is another type that is now added to this rear facade. But like you said, it's a rear facade, so I don't know if I'm making too much of it, because it really won't be visible. But I mean, this is going to be a permanent change to this house. And it seems like this rear facade has a whole collection of different types of windows. I would assume the W1 matches the window on the first floor on the left side, but then those are all the same. But then the other three are each in different types. It would be nice if there was a little bit more uniformity, but it's not something I'm going to fall on my sword about.
Yeah, I think, I think in general, it's a sensitive addition to the structure. And as much as I am very much a stickler for things being symmetrical and, historically accurate as best they can be, for a 1950s structure like this, it's presumably 1950s, I'm guessing, but it's quite common for this type of thing to happen. And I honestly think the shrunken down kind of miniature double hung window is an odder, it's more visually kind of stops me than incorporating something new and contemporary like this. I think, yeah, I mean, given the fact that you just said you're not going to die on this hill with this sword, I think we move ahead.
Okay, do I have a motion then?
Can I just ask one more question of the applicant? Is the bathroom window proposed to be clear glass or like a obscured glass or textured glass?
It was planned as cleared.
Okay, great.
Can I see the plan again? Just quickly flip to the second floor plan, please.
This one?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you don't want a big double hung window there that's right in front of the toilet, right? Presumably.
Well, that, and also I don't especially see why it needs to be that wide. I mean,
it doesn't, but I don't know. It doesn't bother me, but it's useful. I guess it's centered.
Centered.
That's why it's in that location. There's some niceness to that.
Well, for example, all right, awning window, but the same width as a W1 would that make a significant difference to the bathroom?
I don't think it would make a significant visual difference to the rear facade, personally.
I agree.
Well, okay, yeah. Let us move on. Do I have a motion concerning this application?
I would make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Lloyd,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
and I will also vote aye.
Great. So once again, the paperwork will be prepared early next week and forwarded to the building inspector, and you'll be able to get your permit for the project. And if anything changes, then give us a call and we will talk about it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome to the town.
Yes.
Thank you again.
John, at this point, I am going to leave. Thank you.
Okay.
All. Have a great night. And
Okay.
thank you for accommodating me.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Luke Hilpert, 61.
Hello.
Hey, bud.
everybody.
Well, yeah. Hey, Luke.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you for including us on this tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, it sounds like a relatively simple change, but I couldn't tell from the elevations where you were planning on moving the window.
Okay.
Why don't you give just a recap for everybody's benefit what you're proposing?
Sure. So on the front of the house, there's a second story bathroom window. It's in the primary bath that is in line with the window right below it. However, in putting the window in that location on the second floor, as we've been working through in their framing and working with a design professional, she pointed out that that window is essentially against the wall in a corner. And as Sean pointed out on the last one, it would sit over a toilet. So what we're looking to do is move that window, I think it's about a foot, so that it'll be centered on the wall. It'll be centered from the interior of the bathroom on the wall. And then when you're looking at it from the exterior, it'll also sit in the center of this little jut in on the side. It just will no longer be directly above the window below it. So I think, is Sean sharing that now? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the image this is the kind of mock-up of what we approved, where these two windows are in line. This is the mudroom, this is the bathroom, and then this is what's being proposed, which is, so you can kind of see how the width of the lower floor is actually, narrower than the width of the second floor. So it's moving that window over.
I actually like this better personally.
It's funny. I was looking at the flat elevation and I was like, oh, that might look a little bit weird. But then seeing it on the rendering, it makes
great. And it also, old houses always have weird things. The back of my house, one of the windows on the first floor is oddly offset from one of the second floor. And it just, it lends it a little bit something. I like it better like this.
I think the relationship between the window and these and the decorative brackets too is it's a little bit it's less, you can see how cluttered it ends up looking in 3D, but here it just, I think that's what actually gives it more of a firm structure than the width of the wall itself. So
I agree with you, Sean. And when she initially talked about it, I was like, I'm not going to go back to the board to move the window six inches. Leave it where it is. I don't want to. And then I saw the rendering, and I said, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So
the thing is that the window into the mudroom is between the post and the main section of the building.
Right.
Is centered there, and the window above is centered between the post, which is to the left. So I happen to agree. I think this is an improvement.
So I think, Al, is this, are these drawings sufficient to mark with our approval?
Yes.
Okay. So I will make a motion to approve the modification to a previously approved COA as submitted.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Great.
Got it
Thank you
done.
very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Excellent
you.
My
work.
pleasure.
All right. Have a good evening.
Take care, man.
Okay.
All right. Bye now.
Okay, so with I guess I don't know who that cell phone was, but maybe that was a member of the public, or maybe it was a neighbor. But seeing no public, we will have no public comment. And
We have Enrique Sevilla is not with us.
no, I'll follow up with them and ask if they want to be added to the second meeting for September.
Okay.
We did get a request from, let me just open this. We got a request from the town clerk via our clerk to look at this proposal for the signage at town hall. I think that, you know, we have this situation where the town operates under the impression that they do not need our approval for any of the work that's done on town-owned property. So we did not, although we gave some input on the overall renovation for town hall, it's not an application that we approved. And I think in this sense, they're just asking for our input on this sign, our non-binding input.
This is a very odd typeface to me.
Yeah.
Who can we respectfully ask who was involved in the decision for this? God.
That is a note we can forward on to Tara. It does appear that it's going to be it does appear that it's going to be pin mount, you know, the individual legs will be die cut and pin mounted, which is a great way to preserve the material obviously behind it from water and ice and things like that.
Well, isn't the material behind it I forget what the
composite.
Composite.
I don't
Hardy board.
Actually, I don't know. Is this whole building hardy board?
I think it might be.
Yeah. I'm a little hesitant. I mean, if they didn't want our input on the building, why are they asking us for input on signage?
Yeah, but can't we just take what we get, because at least they did a good job on the outside. If we have the ability to sway, I don't know, shouldn't we take it? I happen to be married to like a type obsessed graphic designer. I would be happy to get a few options
Well,
mocked up and send it to you guys.
I think that we can comment on the typeface, but I think that basically what I'd like to do is just say, we took a look, and our only suggestion happens to be with a typeface, but otherwise we really have no comment.
I am of the philosophy that if our comments are non-binding, to issue them gives the impression that they will be listened to. And I think that because the entire renovation of the building was not something that we approved or workshopped, there's no guarantee that our comments will be followed. So I would prefer for our board to simply say that we will not review this signage.
Yeah, well, I have to agree that we shouldn't say that we reviewed this. We should say that we looked at this and we have one comment, and it has to do with the typeface. But otherwise, we have no comments. I don't, we're not going to stamp anything or do anything like that because realistically, I don't want to, get into a position where, just because we approve this, someone will will assume that we approved all of the renovations. So.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I would further, I wouldn't even, to reiterate my earlier point, I would not even mention the typeface. I would simply respond by saying we are choosing not to issue comment on the proposed signage. I think giving any sort of opinion gives the whole operation the veneer of our approval, even if it is not a voted upon approval. And if the town has decided that they are not going to go through the process with us properly, then I don't want them to go through the process at all.
I don't know. I think it's a potential lost opportunity to actually impact some aspect of this process. And I understand what you're saying about the implied approval of the entire thing. And I personally, I mean, you both have a lot more history than I do, but I personally don't read that much into it. I think if someone's asking our opinion and we can actually impact it a little bit, it's an opportunity.
See, it hasn't been submitted to us for review, right? This was just sent to us because somebody had an email, right? Am I correct, John?
Yes.
So, certainly, nobody filled out forms or anything like that. So it's not even a formal submittal. I think that
the subject line was sketch.
Right.
Yeah, I just think that we actually know a little bit of stuff about stuff, and who knows who picked this. They went to signsinc.com and just who knows, and it's I don't know. I mean, if we can impact this for a better outcome by saying, here are 3 typefaces that are Google, available for free. Can you, we as a board, I don't know. That's just
well. How about this? What if we say the review board didn't, since this was not submitted to us for review, we didn't review it. However, a board member has some suggestions concerning the typeface.
Sure.
I will say that Signs Inc. is a reputable sign installer, and we've reviewed lots of their projects before. But I do agree. I do agree to the extent
their logo could use some work too. Is I guess
we don't know, if this was chosen from a limited list of options, or we could very well find out that this is a replica of the typeface on the Phillipstown Charter. But without that knowledge, we find it to be a little
Okay.
Out of keeping.
Can you
just send the email back and say, Todd thinks this, take it or leave it. No one else cares.
Right.
I will circulate a memo to reply. Okay. With Lloyd's departure, we will not discuss the design standards. I did send some edits based on the last draft that we received. I don't know whether those have been sent over to Kirsten yet, but I think we're really appear to be in the home stretch with this. So hopefully we can get our final draft shortly.
You send them to Lloyd, or did I miss an email to the whole?
I just sent them directly to Lloyd. I sent basically just a list and a little marked up PDF. My notes are on the Google Drive if you want to see what I talked about, so we're not duplicating things. But
I am in the process of looking through it, and I mean, I'm kind of trying to limit my input to the imagery for the most part, unless something really egregious stands out. And I'm sure if it does, then you guys caught it already. But I will then not reply all. I will send mine to Lloyd also.
Sure. Yeah, it was really like there was just some text things and just some. It was mostly type and text.
Yeah, they're okay. Okay.
Those were my notes. So we have minutes from I guess August that we can take a look at. Were we were all here. I had looked at them earlier today and didn't have any changes to make, but we can take a look at them together.
Billy.
It was
okay.
6 Oak Street was the first thing that we looked at. That was the fence. Replacing the chain link fence. 13 Parrot Street was a solar application. That was the larger one, I recall, where everything was going to be put through the ceiling or put through the roof and through the attic. And then 8 Stone Street was another solar application. I think 8 Stone Street might be in the National District. Let me, oh wait, sorry. You guys are still looking at this. I'm going to pull this out. Okay.
As variant that you would be able, I guess, stated that you would be able to see one piece of equipment, but the bulkier equipment would not be further down the driveway and past street views and would be wall mounted. It seems like there's a lot of stuff there which needs to be broken up a little bit as far as.
Okay, so Stacy Varian was the rep.
Yeah.
So Stacy Varian replied that you would be able to see one piece of equipment.
But the bulkier equipment would not be further, would be further down the driveway. And
you'd be able to see one piece of equipment at the meter. But the bulkier equipment in the inverter would be further down the driveway and past the street view. And
I think that past the street view is a little deceptive, because if you're walking along the sidewalk, you'll see it because the driveway goes to the sidewalk. Further down the driveway would be wall mounted. I think that's fine. That sort of explains what they're talking about.
Okay, great. 8 Stone Street is in the nationally designated area as well, so I will add that. Okay, and then the workshop for 8 Depot Square with James. I guess we should just say that we only met with James. This was just about the coach house and how to work through it. And asked if you don't, I would say, have.
I would clarify, HDRB has no say in. Oh, okay, never mind. That's just splitting hairs. splitting verbal hairs. That it did. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Like the owners to maintain some integrity. Okay. Any other comments on the minutes from August 3rd?
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
I will move to approve the minutes as submitted.
And do I have a second, Todd?
I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Great. So those are all of our minutes. We are doing so well on keeping up to date minutes.
All right, now, Karen, you're getting ready to go off to the French Riviera or something like that, right?
Ooh.
If only,
If
if only that's where I was going, then I would be really thrilled. No, it's just a trip to Florida.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
American Riviera.
The American Riviera, right?
So that's just conflicts with our October meeting on the 5th, right?
Right,
Right.
right.
So I think then we probably would be fine. I mean, I would be fine. I think, yeah, I will be here. So I'll be fine operating all of the Zoom and everything. Will you do the minutes based on the video or
Yeah.
do you? Okay.
Yeah, when I
All
get
right.
back, I'll watch the video and do the minutes. So don't even worry about that.
Great.
Okay.
So then I guess the only issue would just be when you are reviewing the video, when you're back, you know, obviously if you have any questions about context or anything, then just let me know and I'll.
Right.
help you.
I have one question from tonight.
Oh, sure.
When you're talking about possibility of putting something in between that horizontal window that was going to be in that bathroom,
Mhm.
what is the term?
Muntin, Muntin.
Okay, so I thought, I've been telling people it's a mullion. Okay, so
No.
I'm still wrong.
No, you're not
Todd.
wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh, there's a
Well,
mullion too?
There are two words, and the muntin is what is dividing the panes of glass. So in like a
Okay.
historic, wood window, that
Mhm.
has
Like
Well,
four
paint glass.
over 4 or 6 over 6.
the muntins are dividing the panes. The mullion is more commonly used in a casement style window, but you could refer how you were, Al, saying how the double hung windows on the second floor are right next to each other. That could also be described as a wooden mullion in between them. So that's kind
Okay,
of
so there is mullion and there's also muntin.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The mullion
Thank you.
actually divides windows. The muntin divides the panes of glass within the window.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Good question. You're paying
Yes.
attention.
I do pay attention and then I just go, I don't even want to ask because I think I had already asked what a mullion was and I just have it wrong. Anyway, now I know. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So do I have a motion that we adjourn?
I will move to adjourn.
I will
Todd?
second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, everybody. Good night.
Is
Good night, Karen.
9:04.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thank you.
night. See you in I guess a couple months, Karen.
All
Okay,
right.
bye-bye.
All right.